Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the invite, man. It was very humbling to be requested, man. It's a good feeling, man, that somebody uh feels my energy out there, man. You know what I mean? Understand what I'm trying to do.
Definitely. Yeah, the name was pretty straightforward, so I thought, I want to talk to this guy and see what's up.
Okay. Yeah, again, I appreciate it, man. It's an honor to be here.
So you just when did you learn about Nat Turner, and then like did you have like some kind of just or you just thought it was accurate, like kind of like
He's just a man,
name
he
that
was
you
just
use?
heard about high school. I heard about Nat Turner's Rebellion. And then once I got to college, I started gaining more information in regards to Nat Turner's Rebellion and how it came about.
Nice.
And he's not the first person that I embraced initially. At first I was Franz Fanon the second. Then I was Steve Biko the second,
Okay.
and
Nice.
and then it just those people were not American. So when it was just like how Nat Turner's Rebellion started. That's how the name came to me. I just had a vision,
Nice.
and it was just like, man, you need to be Nat Turner II. He's an American. He's a slave. Regardless of what people like to think, we're still under slavery to this very day. It's just that we're compensated and our masters aren't standing over us. Our masters are our bills and our children. You know what I
Right.
mean? The things and providing for ourselves and those people. Those are our slave masters now. Um, if you look at dis, the wealth distribution, it's the exact same. It's just that
Right.
they were taking care of us directly back then, and nowadays they're taking care of us indirectly and
Right.
allowing us to choose our burdens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just like, man, I think we definitely still need a rebellion, but my goal was to make it a bloodless rebellion by making people wake up on their own. I'm a comedian and I'm also a rapper.
Nice. Yeah.
I haven't released an album in over 20 years though.
Oh,
Um,
really?
uh, yeah, but I recently started doing comedy and I just had to keep that name. What made me change my name on social? I've always been going by Nat Turner.
Well, everybody has a, especially especially because of social media. People they just start using everybody else's, or using different names anyway. So
Mhm. Well, on at, at already second Instagram, and they made a change to where they kept changing my name
oh,
on Instagram to my government name. And I'm
um,
like, man, no, I've always been that Turner the second on Instagram. So I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna go Nat Turner the second
what?
full time on everything. You know what I'm saying?
How did they try to affect you when they were
Well, so what
doing?
they would do so they would again, my name, my Facebook name was always my government name,
Right.
but my Instagram name was always Nat Turner II. So I kept noticing that they kept changing my Instagram name to my government name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna go on and change my Facebook name to Nat Turner II as
Nice.
well. Cause I'd always had Nat Turner II. You know, remember how they have it in parentheses
Right.
where you could put whatever name? Well, I always had Nat Turner II there. And then I just decided, I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna step back. So I decided to step into comedy. and I was my name in comedy. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna make it my full time name instead of changing my name to something like everybody that becomes a comedian puts comedian in their name, comedian such
Right.
and such. And this is I'm not even under the classification as a comedian. I'm under the classification as a motivational speaker because ain't shit funny to me. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I don't even go on stage with the ambitions of making people laugh. I want to laugh. I'm making a joke out of the stuff that has become so painful to me that I gotta laugh about it. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So if I laugh, I'm cool. I don't make the crowd the crowd laughs sometimes inadvertently at some of the things that I say,
Yeah.
but my goal is not to make people laugh. And that's as a comedian, that's like, man, like, why are you a comedian then? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like none of this stuff is real, man.
Right.
None of it's real. All you have to do is be able to go up there and deal with whatever comes from the audience and then
Yeah.
get off the stage and you're good. You know what I'm saying? So I get some laughs here and there, but I haven't had the crowd just rolling over laughing. But
Right.
they laugh because I'm an observational comedian. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and with my music is observational music. I'm just making light of I'm generating my perspective, and if you feel me, you feel me. If you don't, you don't.
Right.
Entertainment is vast, and as you can see, it's people that have videos of them just sitting there eating, and they got
Right.
1 million, 2 million views.
Yeah.
So comedy and inspired me to get back in the studio and start working on my second album, which is going to be called Slave Mentality 2.0, because Slave Mentality was the title of my first album 25 years ago. But life got at me and I couldn't
Right.
continue on in music. You know what I mean? And I've gotten to a point now where I don't care. I am literally like, I've come to the conclusion that none of this is real,
Right.
and you make time for what you want
Right.
to do. And I'm gonna make this album happen. And once I'm done with the album, I'm gonna step back out on stage because I'd even step back.
Nice.
You talk, man. I'm very loquacious. I'll talk forever, man, if you
No, that's
don't
fine.
jump in
I
and steer the conversation.
no, it's all good. That's kind of how it is. I'm just more like I like hearing people's kind of stories, and I like background and stuff. No, I saw your name. I thought it was great, and just wanted to see what you're on because some people use names, and it's not exactly for what you would think it'd be. So,
Right,
um,
right. Well, no, I am is man, I'm an open book, and
right,
I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So yeah, it's exactly what I'm on.
nice. Uh,
And I have the wherewithal to realize that uh I'm outnumbered and I'm outgunned. You know what
right,
I'm saying? So I just want to carry on his message uh, of rebellion from the way things are, but
right,
again, make it to the other side this time and die of natural causes and not
right.
be killed
I mean,
carrying out.
his story in itself is uh tragic and like a lesson, and then grotesque because of like what they did to him after the fact, and uh,
Right.
which
And
is
what's
so
what's
American and in nature. It's just it's just
well,
how it is.
what's even more American though was he was their favorite slave until he wasn't.
Was it
He
because
was their favorite slave.
he'd go to
That
he was a good minister and like they liked his sermons or something?
absolutely. They loved his sermons and they would calm their collection of slaves, it would calm them down and make them uh rely on religion to
Right.
get through their to get through their existence instead of wanting to rebel. Well, he started to realize what he was actually doing,
Right.
and because he understood the word of God more than even the slave owners, and he just realized that what good am I actually doing?
Right.
All I'm doing is really, what I'm saying, making it so they can continue to keep us enslaved.
Yeah.
And he had that vision, and man, he said, "This is how we're gonna do it." And he went by an eclipse of all things
Right.
as the sign to set off
Oh, wow.
the rebellion. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what's crazy is Nat Turner was born October 2nd, 1800, and he died November 11th, 1831. I tell people that I am 249 years old, and I was born in December 16th, 1775. So I was actually born
That's when he
before
was
him.
born?
He was born, no, he was born in 1800. He was born October 2nd, 1800, and he died November 11th, 1831.
Oh,
So he
okay.
was
Yeah, yeah,
31
yeah.
years old when he died. But so the spirit that embodies me is the same age as the United States.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Just a little older. Just a little older. So the United States was ratified, I guess, in July 4th of 1776, and I was born December 1775. So I am
Nice.
249 years old. A birth certificate. Just tell me that I look good for my age, okay?
Right.
Yeah. So just the pain, especially once I learned about the real slavery, not the slavery that they romanticize, like that we just worked
No.
and that was it. No, no. They did they treated their animals
You're right.
better than they treated the slaves, man.
Right.
Yeah, they made us breed. They raped us. Men were raped by slave masters. We were raped by the women as well. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? They raped
yeah.
our children. They skinned us. They
Right.
made potions and shit out of us. They made pillows and what have you out of our hair. And yeah, oh my God. It was worse than you can even imagine. And they romanticized it to
Right.
just make it seem like we were working in factories, but they housed us and fed us and clothed us. Yeah, no, we made our own stuff because we were cold, and you know,
Right. Right.
uh, and just made the best of it. Like we make the best, like in any situation, and I think that's what that was the cause of racism. They figured they could put us through anything,
Mhm.
and we can still make the best of it. And white people can have everything and still be miserable. Yeah, and they can't figure it out, man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
I I told my wife that, it's kind of it's like a demon or whatever, but, wealthy people and, like, racist people, like, the one thing is they're never satisfied, there's never any
ever.
thirst for, like, hatred and they just, thrive off of, like, pain, I guess, and, um, it just becomes, like, psychotic and,
I
um,
have no
detrimental to
I don't
society.
understand it.
Yeah. So and that's the other thing, in a time like now where, you kinda look on history and the 1800s is a special time because despite how horrible things were, like, people, um, just came out of nowhere and, with, creative ways to, with science and politics and, like,
Yeah.
just different
It was
aspects of
definitely
society.
a it was definitely an interesting time. And not only that, I think there were a lot of technological advances back then
Right,
as well. Have you noticed that they were able to take pictures and stuff in the sky and like man, it was a lot of inventions back then that
right,
black people were mostly responsible for.
right.
And
Well, and the other aspect of it was um, different, in the West, like black cowboys were, like more predominant.
yeah,
Ironically, that's like one of the few spaces that
reversed
black
now.
men could actually live and work and prosper and be free to do it the best, the best and
Well, they weren't tied down by systems. It was wide open out there.
right,
And the systems were pretty much the systems of oppression were pretty much in place in the places where the United States was initially founded. You know what I
right,
mean? So the
right,
colonies, we were still free, you
right.
know.
So they're just, and that's just one example that I did research for like a western, like a steampunk western, and I got kind of, I would go down these holes, these, I don't know what you would call them, like rabbit holes of looking at stuff, because then I look up one thing and then I looked up another and it would lead to this and this and this, and so that was like one of the things that was just like, cool, because I was looking for ideas, and I was really surprised,
Hmm.
and really, despite of like segregation, um, there were people who were friends that were black and white. The
Definitely.
Wright brothers were friends, and I can't remember the guy. I was looking up
Paul Lawrence
technology.
Dunbar.
Their friend who was started the first black, I think, banking system. Is that who you're talking about?
I don't know. I know they. Paul Lawrence Dunbar was a poet.
Oh,
Not only
okay.
a poet though, but he was like a Renaissance man back
Right,
then also. So I'd have to look up who you're referring to, but I know that I read somewhere that they were actually friends with Paul Lawrence Dunbar as well, and those are the main historical figures from Dayton, Ohio. Paul Lawrence Dunbar
oh,
and
okay.
Orville and Wilbur Wright. Yeah,
But that,
one
it's just
created.
things like that that would fascinate me, that you would be surprised of how civil people actually were, and not everybody was gross, but it's like a system you live in, but
Yeah, and if you're, I can understand because it's pretty much the same today. It's just people aren't as overt with their
right,
racism. But if it benefits you, it benefits you just to shut up and go along with it.
right,
Then you just shut up and go along with it. You don't necessarily. And then when there's nobody around, you're
right,
cool. But once that peer pressure gets around you, then you end up going along with it because it's
right,
just beneficial for you. You know what I mean? So
right.
and that's something that I experienced. I went to military school as a child,
Oh,
and
wow.
when I'm hanging out with one or two people, it's cool. But once somebody older comes along and starts teasing me based upon my race or something, then the people that are so called my friends, they go
Right.
along with it, so they're not bullied. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I've experienced it. It's just not as it wasn't as grotesque for me. It was just it caused my thin to get skin my skin to get thick at a young age
right.
and become aware of racism. And because a lot of people aren't even aware of racism, man.
Yeah,
They just look at it as somebody being an asshole, but they don't chalk it up to actually racism.
right,
And like I was just my eyes were open to racism at a very young age. And I can call people out on it. And it's people that don't even realize they're being racist sometimes
right,
because they're not actually using the N word or something like that. And they don't realize that they're being racist. And they're like, I'm not racist. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's the worst thing you could call a white person nowadays
yeah,
is
it's
call them a
weird.
racist and they get pissed.
Yeah, it's still a very, I don't know. It really, it's funny the reaction white people get when you call them out. It's just, and I look at it like, uh, you don't need to argue with me. Like, why don't you find out what I'm talking about, and then maybe you can like learn something. Because if you're not aware of
Hmm.
something, I get it. But you should acknowledge it and try to like, uh, try to do something about, or just become aware and like understand.
Right. Well, see, this is the thing. This is the thing that people don't realize, man. Like a person, you can't define what racism is if you're not aggrieved by, or if you're not on the if you're not offended by it.
Right,
Just because it doesn't offend you doesn't mean or you didn't mean to be offensive. You learn what racism is by experiencing, talking with someone and understanding how they deem what you said offensive or as racist. You
right,
know what I mean? So just because it's not your intent doesn't mean that you're not racist.
exactly.
It's impossible not to be racist if you're raised in the United States. Everything is categorized based upon race. You know what I'm saying? So you don't even realize you're being like, a lot of people didn't realize they were racist until Charlie Kirk died,
Right,
and they love Charlie, but and
right.
not realizing that 99% of his rhetoric was racist.
Racist.
It was
No,
racist
just
in nature.
just really
Based
hateful
upon
stuff.
his statistics,
Right,
yeah, he want to justify it because of, and they want to call it facts. No, no,
right.
he he uh he grossly overstated his numbers and his statistics.
Yeah,
Didn't realize that his statistics were gathered to prove like that that white people just naturally think that they're better at everything. So that's why they were collecting the data to prove that, not actual data,
right,
the real data. You know what I'm saying? Or they weren't paying attention to the data that. So when they want to bring up black on black crime, but they don't want to bring on white crime to realize that
right.
okay, black on black crime might be 88%, but white on white crime is 84% or 85%. You see what I'm saying? They just focus on the numbers that chose that played into their narrative. They don't look at the all of the data though. So
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. It's kind of a system now. Trying to think what else. So like, you're based out of Ohio?
yes, I live in Dayton,
That's
Ohio.
right. Okay. Um,
Yep.
Ohio's an interesting place. I went to Cleveland one time and stopped there. Went to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then my partner for my other website, she's out of Cincinnati. So uh,
I used to live in Cincinnati. That's where I went to undergrad. I graduated from the University of
okay.
Cincinnati. And that was an eye-opening experience that once I got to that was like the first time going to school in Cincinnati. I think that was the first time I was actually just called a nigger. Like I was just walking down
Oh,
the
okay.
street one day coming home from class
Right.
and somebody drove past and I said, "Wow."
Wow.
Like I'd experienced racism where like, but I'd never been called
Just
the
straight
N-word
out.
until
Yeah.
I was, yeah. And I didn't realize like how painful it was to be called that for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I just like I laughed at first, but then I realized I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that hurt.
Right.
That
It's
hurt.
real shit.
Despite because I call my man, I use the word. I'm not one of those people, you know what I'm saying? But I use it with the A on the end.
Right.
So to be
Yeah.
called the hard ER,
Yeah. Just straight
it
up.
definitely did something to me. Like, and
Well,
I was
yeah.
in my 20s when that happened.
Yeah. Um, it's funny. I used to live in Chicago, and I made a lot of friends and acquaintances who were black. And one thing I
Hmm.
learned is, like, even though this is a racist country, like, not everybody black is actually going to experience that kind of race.
Exactly.
It's like in other ways, and especially generations like my kids' generation. and anybody in their 20s, like, it's different. There's racism, but it's different. Like, they're unaware of shit, generationally
Right.
because of things, and so, so yeah, that was like a surprising thing is like, so when that shit happens, it's like you have that reaction where like, wow, man, that's just wild because it's like it's like just so evil and like it really happened. Like you think, wow, you're really surprised when shit is really racist, and you're like,
Yeah.
even though it's like you don't think of you. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just an old evil, and you're like, wow, that shit still is like, it's still gross.
Alive and well, man. Alive
Yeah,
and well. And now, like I said, they've especially like with the whole idea of cancel culture and things of that nature, it just makes you get more it makes white people get more creative
right.
with their racism. And now like my skin is so thick now that it actually makes me laugh when see what that word was designed to do was give to make black people act out, get upset and act out to justify anything that happens. So the first thing you want to do when you're being called that is you want to beat somebody's ass. And
Yeah.
then what that does is gives them the excuse to call the police. And
Mhm.
then the police come, and then you end up going to jail because you assaulted them. Because we're supposed to be, they've taught us that sticks and stones break bones, but words should never hurt you.
Right.
But no, words hurt the most. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I could somebody can I'd rather get hit with a stick or a stone than be called an N-word. Because
Right.
if you hit me with a stick or a stone, then I'm justified in my response to you.
Right.
But I'm not justified in my response if a word triggered me. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Language is a different thing because, physical pain and injury will go away eventually, but emotional damage,
exactly.
it's
All those mental
internalized
scars, man.
it's way worse. And so, especially with race and especially in this country where, we're incapable of, like, working out shit, so, like, little things that should be, like, um, not commonplace, it is are still relevant, and so it's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
we can't evolve, I guess what I'm trying to say, to make it so, like, one day, like, okay, you can say something and it's not gonna have the same effect, but we're not even to that point where it's like language is just as, um,
Oh man,
just as
they
bad
speaking
as
dog whistles now,
it's
man.
just wild.
So when you hear them talk about black on black crime, you know what
It's
they actually
coding,
mean.
yeah. It's always the reason, like, well, if it's black, it's criminal and violent, triggering words of, it's like it's always a negative and it's extreme, and that basically saying like, oh, it's the shithole because it's the black people. It's just all kind of
Right.
gross.
Yeah. And I found it so ironic that Charlie Kirk was shot right another racist dog whistle when they were talking about mass shootings with or without gang violence in Chicago. Those were his last words, man.
Right? Yeah,
And
that shit
he
was wild. The timing and it is like, my wife was tripping because she looked on her Facebook and she saw the reaction, and like, well, I live in Alaska,
okay.
and it's fairly like, white Christian here.
Hmm.
So, and it's well, not necessarily all white and Christian, like, there are some people of other ethnicities commenting, and it's like he just said that, like, he's shown many times he don't give a fuck about anybody unless they're white and Christian and male. Like he said,
Absolutely.
that's the priorities of his thing, and
And
uh,
did you hear why? Did you know of his story as to why he even became so racist? It's because he could he why he was against affirmative action, and he thought that that was the reason why he couldn't get into West Point,
I
and
mean,
that's what made him start focusing on affirmative action and why he was against it and why he was against diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's what made him turn into the Charlie Kirk that we all learned about,
I
that we became familiar with.
I
His
didn't,
backstory is interesting.
I never, delved further enough to even research that guy. I just would see his shit,
Oh, I
his
always
videos.
I need to understand why
Right.
people are the way that they
You should
are.
know the enemy,
And
my thing is,
yeah,
I just learned enough, and I felt that like, okay, I don't feel the need, but I know that another thing that helped him prop him to where he was is he got financed by like an Israeli like billionaire.
it was through a proxy though. It was somebody it wasn't directly through Israel.
Right.
It was
It never
through,
is, but
yeah. It never is, yeah. So,
they don't
but I
play.
don't even like to even talk about that because
Right.
they like to label anybody that
I know.
mentions anything about Israel as, yeah.
Right.
And I'm not a
I know.
racist. I'm not an
I know. I'm not,
anti-Semitic.
yeah, I get it.
I love everybody. And like, but what's funny is I would open my comedy routine though. I always start off mentioning that I'm a drone pilot,
Right.
and because no black people are drone pilots. We're not allowed to be drone pilots. So I
Right.
mentioned it that. Then I mentioned my second greatest job is being a single father. I'm a widower. So
Oh,
or a
wow.
widow. You're the man. Then I said, my third thing is, also, I don't like white people. And then everybody's like, what? They'll laugh or they'll go, what? What?
Right.
I was like, no, not y'all. Y'all cool. I just don't like the white people on the news, man.
Right.
Those are the ones, the Trump supporters. Those are the white people that I don't like. The people that are on the news that are complaining about everything. But y'all, you see, you sitting here listening to me
There's
talk, you're cool.
that there's a thing now where, like, I heard the term "spicy white," and I use that on myself, and I joke with my wife. My wife's, Alaska Native, so,
Okay.
we talk about stuff, and, she calls me "spicy white" or "spicy white," but it's just, I think, it's a show that,
I call you war on woke, being woke. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Being able to call a space of identifying history as to what it is. You know what I'm saying? And
right,
not the whitewashed version.
right, and, um I just, but basically, I think that there are people who can't, white people who can't stomach reality either, and
Right.
like they're, like how I feel. It's like I don't like that, and I don't want to be associated with that shit. So I try to go out of my way in the proper setting of
But
when you to show that
don't
it's
go
like
out of
can't
your
do
way,
that
man.
shit, huh?
I don't want, see, I don't want white people to feel guilty.
No,
I
not
just want
guilt.
white people to be okay,
Not
good,
guilt,
good,
guilt
good.
that
Okay.
I used to have that shit too, but I realized that's not really a that doesn't help bring progress, it
And,
just
and,
feels bad.
and no, and not only that, white guilt makes you more, it can make you offensive without you
Right.
realizing it because you're trying,
Yeah,
just don't carry that, don't continue that shit.
right,
That's all.
right.
Yeah,
So
man, I hate to cut you
oh,
off,
I gotta go
man.
too, but I appreciate you doing
Okay.
this. We could do another one if you want, man, I could talk
Oh,
forever, so
absolutely. Anytime.
sweet, man.
Anytime, man. All you got to do is just shoot me the invite and I'll be there, man.
Yeah,
Because I really enjoyed talking with
you
you
too, man.
and you a cool person, man.
Great.
Yeah.
Well,
So, hey, man,
thank you.
thanks for interviewing me. And anytime, buddy, anytime, just
Alright,
let me know when.
have a good
All
one.
right, take care, man.
You too.
Nat Turner II out.
Alright. Later. Thanks for coming on
All right.
Conversations.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man.
Alright.
Yep.